Always one.
We've started. There's always one. What do you mean? Hold on. We've started. We started to change into the company gear, Nicola. Is that what that was all about?
Hold the phone.
Nicola of the Burning Back, as we might have called him. But there'll be a video coming up on Nicola's Eve Rumour channel about how he nearly set fire to himself in a forest. So that'll be on the Eve Rumour channel.
No. Live.
No, am I overdoing it a bit?
Yeah. I love it.
All right. But that's your bicycle channel, and that'll be on that.
This is Rocket Pack channel.
And there'll be a screenshot with what happens next. What happened next as the as the little tag image.
Yes. Well, look, it's unusual. I've started with an image because this literally came in 20 minutes ago. The FAA have selected. These are the winners of the golden tickets. What's the golden ticket for? It's the people that can give this, the recreational UAS safety test. Trust. All recreational flyers in the US must pass an aeronautical knowledge and safety test and provide proof of test passage. I quite like that, of test passage. That's like we're going off to explore somewhere, isn't it? Off to the north, passage to the north. The trust completion certificate to the FAA or law enforcement upon request. That's from the 2018 reauthorization bill. I think they have to give this free, this test. But of course, it does point to be a bit of a license, doesn't it? So AMA, Boy Scouts of America, some Indian communities, Drone U, we'll have heard of before, Embry Riddle, and UAV Coach, as all people were here. Is anyone there that, was anyone not there, can we see on that list?
Yeah, where's the FPV Freedom Coalition? I believe they were, I may be wrong, but I thought they were trying to get on that list. Maybe not.
So are they on this? No, they're not on the list here either. You may take the free online test through any of the approved test administrators listed above. If it's free and it's an online test, I have to ask the question to myself, why on earth do these people have to be in the loop at all?
Exactly. Surely you can just get an automated process on the FAA website, which checks the answers and then ticks it off. This is like, what?
I don't understand. What? I actually don't understand. What? I talk about Lank still being down. Oh no, I didn't know Lank was down coast to coast drones, or Lance. Lance isn't spelled like that. It's Lank. Anyway,
named after Gary's here.
Yeah, exactly. Always makes me laugh about that. But yeah, why do these people need to be in the loop? Because if anything, so it's a free test, it's an online test. It was fantastic for your website, isn't it? We should, SGS News should have applied to be one of these. But you have all sorts of people coming to the website. Anyway, I don't understand. But that hit the press about half an hour ago. So I thought I would bring it up first. Let's stop presenting that. And
these online tests, I wonder if they're there to promote awareness and an understanding, or if they're just there to collect names and addresses.
Heaven forbid you should think such a thing. What an outrageous accusation. You have a website? Yeah, apparently I do. Exactly, Squidgy. Well, so that sort of, it leads on a little bit almost to two things I know about. After I already ranted last week about Project Wing doing stuff in the UK and basically bringing in the Lance system and mentioning in their chat at Cranfield pay to play. Users will pay for access to the airspace, which is ridiculous. And I'm very surprised that some of the people that came out also angry. And there we are. Joseph saying it was online directly. Those orgs wouldn't get to feel special and important. Yeah, well, yes. And the FPV Freedom Coalition are plainly not special or important. We can gather from that, which is a shame. In fact, there's nobody representing FPV at all on that list. It's bad news. Anyway, where was I going now?
You also don't have flight tests then either.
Well, that's the FPV Freedom Coalition, isn't it?
Is that them? Isn't
totally
it?
separate.
No.
No. Flight testers, that is Josh and whatever. That's a
Yeah.
separate thing. That's more like the AMA. The FPV Freedom Coalition is there to represent the rights and opinions of FPV flyers.
Yeah.
I wonder if they left FPV flyers out because they don't want them being represented, or I don't know, because FPV is slightly different to the rest of the community. We put more stress on the regulations because we've got all this potential for BV loss and stuff like that. I don't know why there just seems to be a sort of arm's distance thing for FPV.
Because who of this group then? Let's be honest about this, because let's remember this is for recreational unmanned aircraft systems. Who here represents recreational unmanned aircraft systems? AMA, yeah, we'll go for that. Boy Scouts, yeah, I can get that.
All the LLCs.
Yes, of course. You're absolutely right. Drone U?
Because flight, look, flight tests have their own location. They do part of the whole thing of them getting that land and everything was to train and support the community. I'm shocked. Where are they in this? If I was
Technical College. Who on earth are Proctorio Incorporated? That sounds like it's going to be a painful medical exam, doesn't it?
Also, from the flight test perspective, they have a huge online presence, and if this is an online exam, that would be a major benefit, having the presence there already. People know about it. They may not know about this if they're not visiting one of these sites.
Tactical aviation, they sound completely recreational flying. It sounds like it's the evening, man. That sounds like it's their core mission, quote unquote. Yeah.
So is this the first of the organizations? Is this the people who've now been authorized? This isn't permanent, is it? You know what I mean? This isn't you're in or you're out. Can other people apply? Could people be in the process of applying right now?
I don't know. I don't know to the answer to this one, and I think they backpedaled the whole idea of having fixed sites and no more being added either. So I don't honestly know the answer to that. A recreational flyer, someone operates a drone for fun or personal enjoyment purposes only. Why would you bother? Why wouldn't you just go for the Part 107, which is really easy, super easy, and just do that? I guess there's got to be some reasons that will stop you flying in other private ways, but yeah. Same. Sorry for you there if you are in America. Yeah, and so basically after that, after my little bit of ranting last time about Wing and what they're saying, they've been all over. They've been in the grown-up aviation press in the UK saying that that's what's going to happen, and it's been sort of almost being spoken as if it's a fait accompli. And at the end of the day, all it was a meeting with some boffins at Cranfield. And the guys from the CAA, but it looks like it's been absolutely just pushed through or being railroaded through for remote ID.
Has the FAA announced who the CBOs are yet?
No.
It's taken a very long time, isn't it?
Well, it is. Well, are these suddenly, is this, well, they don't say that they're the CBOs, but no, they haven't announced who the CBOs are. But then they've got to be, well, maybe that's where the flight test boys are. Should have thought about this and had them on before we started. And
Squishy says flight testers are for-profit business. Well, isn't a lot of those other things in that list of for-profit business?
Embry-Riddle, Lake Area Technical Institute, Drone Launch Academy, Tactical Aviation. In fact, I've got to click on their link. We're about to leave. Yeah, let's go to Tactical Aviation. We've got to see. How do I put this up? Here we go. So this is the trust certification. All right, let's go a little bit back. Let's go back to what they are.
The website don't look much. I'm not being funny. That looks like some
collaboration between the FAA and the industry. Drone training.
Okay.
How to become a drone pilot. Oh my word! Did you see what they were flying?
So,
wow,
it's inspiring.
Yeah.
Go back down to the bottom, the address, the details.
Here we are. Idaho, isn't it? Something.
What's it say about them? Was the about? It was an about at the top, wasn't it? I was intrigued.
Let's see who they are. Veteran owned and operated. I could say that about SES News.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem.
No. Just seems. It looks like a one-man band, doesn't it?
Unmanned courseware that's used by the Department of Defense and domestic airlines.
Mm.
Yeah, it's all very, very fishy, isn't it? Everything on the list. Yeah, no, I wonder how the AMA feels about being in a group, like, i.e., not the only one. They must have thoughts about that. But anyway, let's move away from that. I thought that was interesting. Just started. I've had my semi rant about Wing yet again, coming in and wanting remote ID and a Lance sort of system in the UK. And then I also hear this week that Heathrow is now requesting anyone, and I cannot remember what the special name for that little bit of airspace where you could fly
Flight exclusion zone.
Flight exclusion zone. So you can apply for that if you're a commercial operator in the UK. But now if you want to fly in Heathrow's flight exclusion zone,
or FRZ, flight restriction.
FRZ, yeah, that's it, FRZ, flight restriction zone. You have to, after flight, supply your log or your flight file. So I wonder what they want that for. Any guesses?
It's interesting. It is interesting, that one, because look, they can ask for what they want. At the end of the day, they have in law, if you want to fly within 4.6 kilometers in an aerodrome, you have to have their permission. So for them to give that permission, they can put whatever conditions on that they wish. Now, there has been some kickback in the past of unreasonable charges on this, because you did have some aerodromes and some airports leveraging fees on commercial operators to fly within these zones. Now, the CAA did get involved a little bit in this, because that wasn't what the purpose of it was. The purpose of this was to give the airport the information they need to notify their other users. But it's an interesting step, because yes, they can make it a requirement. Can they legally make you give it to them? I don't guess they could. And if you didn't at the end of the flight, the question is then, what are they going to do? Because there's nothing to say, they can't force you to give it to them. Unless it's legally documented.
It's very interesting, isn't it? And of course, you're going to have to be flying something that can produce that log file that they're required. Yeah.
Heathrow's a funny place. It's not going to be the easiest place to fly within 4 point.
I've just quickly checked my informant's message, and it's not just Heathrow that wants it. NATS want it as well.
NATS for what? NATS controlled airports.
No, NATS. NATS at Heathrow.
NATS at Heathrow.
Heathrow.
Okay.
NATS at Heathrow want that log file. One for the resident barrister. Oh, yeah. Why don't I think about these things? Let me just email him. Why don't I think? Let me just quickly email him. I'm
just looking, 4.6 kilometers around Heathrow. There's not a lot of people going to be flying in that area. It's only going to really be commercial operators. There is a fair population in that area. Is someone going to request permission if they're flying a Mavic in the garden? Quite, it raises some questions, doesn't it? But it is an interesting one. Personally, I wouldn't have an issue handing it over, but I'm more interested in why they want the data.
Well, is it not to test the counter UAS systems?
I guess it could be. It would be a good way of testing it.
Wouldn't it? Yeah, if you had some known stuff. But is it a hop and a skip then away from? Because all I thought was, well, that's a hop and a skip from every airfield doing it, and suddenly it becomes a real pain in the ass. And manned aviation isn't asked to hand in a log file. Why should we?
Because we're special.
Oh, FPV pilots had petitioned to bring back 336. Yeah, it was much easier back then. There's halcyon days of 336. You're absolutely right. Yeah, there's shenanigans going on, and they're going on fast at the moment. And airspace is being monetized. James, I wonder if James is listening in. There's also, he's banding about a new category of airspace, L airspace, a class L, lower airspace or low level. And if that comes in, then we really are scuppered everywhere, because then they will finally, as we have been ranting on for years now, that they want that first 400 feet, please. They'll give it a name. Then we're toast. And we've had it.
Just looking, what is 4.6 around Gatwick? You know, the sort of distance.
Well, Heathrow, mate. Heathrow.
Heathrow, sorry, not Gatwick. And, you know, it's still a fairly large area. It heads up towards Hayes, in fact. You know, 4.6K. It's a fairly big area, really, from the boundary fence. It won't be that far from, you could be quite far out and still require permission. As Gary said, I'm guessing it is to test their system that they didn't have before.
Well, yeah. Let's put it up on here. Let's have a look on here. I just don't see. It's a little bit of overreach, I think, personally. Or maybe I'm just being too sensitive. Here we are. We can put it up.
It's nearly 32 square kilometers.
It's a chunk of space.
Is it this one or is it this one? No, it's this one, isn't it?
Right. There's the boundary down there. So I'm guessing it's the red one. Where's Hay? No, it'll be the red one, Gar. I reckon it's the red circle. I reckon. Ignore that bit there. Yeah, well, it does extend off the runways. It'll be the red one.
Well, there we are. That is, yeah. Look, it's nearly up to Windsor. You are on the either end of the runway at Heathrow, so it is quite busy here. To be fair to them,
does it go through the pond? Yeah, there you go. I'm looking on my end. So it goes through that pond just below Ashford on my side. Where's that pond? Ashford. Yeah, no. So I reckon, actually, it's bigger than that because it's 4.6 kilometers from the boundary. So actually, it's a little bit bigger than that.
You reckon?
Yeah, because I'm sure it's 4.6 from the boundary, not the center of the airport. So if you look, when you zoom in, Gary, I think the boundary is the boundary, not that V.
Well, this road,
or is that the boundary? It's not from the center.
I think it's got to be a circle from the airfield reference point, surely. Otherwise, it's chaos. I've flown down there. This is H4. I've been down here.
It's been a while, but I believe. Do you just double check? Oh no, it is from the center. Sorry, I thought it was from the boundary.
It'll be from. Well, it won't be the center. It'll be the airfield reference point, the ARP. Which is not necessarily in the very, very smack bang diddly dang center. So it's a lot of airspace.
Or the runway protection zone.
Look, flight software test going on up there. What's that then?
Yeah.
A drone flight is planned to take place here there we are. So there's a drone flight. He'll be all right then. He doesn't need to put anything in. What's happening over here? Cricket ground, low altitude. Drone flight is due to take place. This map is available, dear viewer, if you wish to see it at SUS News. It's a website that you may have heard of. I'll put it here. CASA announced their free drone registration is over on the 1st of 7th. It'll cost $40. Now, Michael, are they really gonna do 40 per airframe per year? My hat.
Is that for recreational or for commercial?
I think it was all. And we must remember not to use the word drone, because it's model aircraft, it's anything, isn't it? This Altitude Angel, it's worldwide. Let's see how many flights have been. See what restrictions are. Where is the big airport in here? It's up here somewhere, isn't it? I just wanted to compare and contrast, because they'll be getting it a lot easier over there, won't they? All right, let's move on from that. That's a bad idea.
Well, I can see high levels of compliance with the Australian rule, can't you? Everyone's lining up to register all their greater than 500 gram drones. I mean, and what a windfall for the government. They will be so rich in the wake of all that. It's fantastic.
It really is. It's just I'm at the point where I keep looking at rovers and thinking, God, that's the way to go. Just do stuff with zero regulation.
Just hide your USB ports if you're going to get a rover.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, obviously I wouldn't get Ian to make it. That would be a very, very bad plan. And I'd be waiting forever for his video about it. You know, that would be the other thing. But yeah, yeah. There's a definite run. And Nicola, is it beginning to be this noisy over where it is with you, or there's still people don't care?
Noisy?
Well, this sort of rush to regulation. No.
Like, yeah, you can pretty much read my face. I have no idea. I have no idea. Nothing's been talked about this in a while. We've had some turmoil on the political scene, and pretty much everybody's concentrated on that stuff. And nobody, even without that, nobody cares about that around here.
I'm actually I'm gonna say it as well. If you wouldn't mind sending me that email, Michael, I'd like to see that. And is that commercial and private? Is everything across the board? Because that's extraordinary if that comes in. What would that be here? There's 40 there, 80. There's 120. It didn't take much to look around and tot that up. That's extraordinary.
If you've got a lot of drones, it's probably cheaper just to be fined.
It might very well be, mightn't it? But then that's going to be a very definitive record of things that you might have for 10 minutes because you've built this thing. You know what I mean? You spend ages building this thing and then you turn it back into foam. Everything if you registered in their system. Good.
And that's why you should never register.
Goodness gracious me. What is the world coming to? Well, I've been ranting.
Well, I saw a document on the New Zealand Ministry of Transport website. They've just slipped it out. It was released under the Official Information Act, perhaps, because they said they've released it. And they are hell-bent on this registration system in New Zealand for 250 grams and above. And they put all the usual stuff like 80 joules and privacy and all the crap that we've been dealing with. And when I made my submission on their proposals to integrate drones, I made it very clear that if they're going to be stupid, I'm going to be campaigning quite vocally, quite publicly through social media for widespread non-compliance. So haven't heard back yet. Don't know why.
Yeah, I'm looking to see what 40 Australian dollars is in US dollars.
Probably about 37, 38.
It's 30. Yeah, 30 it says. Right now it's 30. So 30 US dollars an aircraft.
Wow.
That's
a
just
lot of money.
And what do you get for that $30? How much safer do you suddenly become? How much more sky? Because let's face it, all right, let's say it's a great thing, we're going to do it, let's have it. And because we're going to be putting so much money into the coffers of CASA, we want that lower airspace, please. We don't want it for delivery drones. We want it so we can fly a model aircraft wherever we bloody well like.
And I think they have to go and say to CASA, well, okay, then how is this going to improve safety? Please tell us how many more lives will be saved, how much worth of property damage will be avoided, and how many fewer severe injuries will result.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. It's just absolutely ridiculous, and it should be exactly the same for, I suppose, manned aircraft. Don't re-register every year. I don't think. No, you don't. Do you? I can't remember. You can only fly one aircraft at a time. You're absolutely right, Victor. But and by the way, I watched your live stream the other day, Victor, with your educational stuff. That was very, very good. Yeah, but if they're in the shed, all the shed raids that will be happening, the man comes and knocks on the shed door. But if it was the 50s, he'd turn up with a cup of tea and a packet of biscuits to discuss it with you, wouldn't he? But it'll be completely different now. They'll blow the door off and rush in
AR-15s. The interesting thing is, do you have are these drones that are there, or only apply to drones that you want to fly? Because what happens to the people that inherited a whole lot of models from Uncle Ben who died, 6 months ago, and they're all in the garage, and the federal police roll up and go, those registered? I mean, I haven't actually looked closely at the new Aussie rules, but they have to be very careful not to basically turn innocent people into offenders and just go throwing fines around.
Well, I know they want to regulate indoor flight as well. So go figure. So, yeah, we'd have to look at it. If you've got some lovely free flight indoor stuff, are you going to have to register your free flight?
Indoor should be just as regulated, because why is it safer to fly over someone's head indoors than outdoors?
Well, there is, yeah. Okay, I'll give you that. There is that element to it. Yeah, as you fly your Agris, whatever, your great big agricultural drone inside the sports hall because you want to. Not a funny story, but a weird story in some ways, in that those are such very expensive machines, those crop dusting drones, that on Saturday for Father's Day, day early, to book early to avoid disappointment, we went down to a local brewery and count them, not one but two, a Zag and an Agris, just at a local brewery down the road. It's like flipping egg. There's an awful lot of money there.
I see Rev B says because they weigh bugger all, but the same craft flown outdoors, you're still not allowed to fly it over people in many countries like New Zealand, but you can indoors. So it makes no difference. I don't think any of them should be regulated like that, to be totally honest. It's just this great regulatory overreach we're entering, and because people are just sitting back and saying, it'll be all right, but it won't. It won't. Yeah. No, the wing thing in the UK had me really. I was pretty horrified that they plainly felt the collar of the department, or the Department of Transport had fallen in love with what the bloke was saying, and they were stamping on the heads of the CAA. That's how it looked to me. And meanwhile, it's just the industry doesn't seem to be taking any notice at all of what's happening by stealth. It's happening to them, and they're not looking. What about this LANC outage? Because that's what if this was network remote ID? Everybody would be grounded. And this is one of the points I raised in my response to the NPRM. It creates a point of failure that has a potential to completely destroy the safety of integrating drones, not enhance it. And obviously, if LANC's out, well, it could be network remote ID doing the same thing.
Well, I'm going to ask the question now of Google: what happens if LANC fails? Are you in fact then grounded?
In the UK, in the US, they were talking that if the remote ID system couldn't communicate, then yes. When the NPRM was being talked about, it was run. If you couldn't communicate, it was ground, and in fact, it had to be hardware that grounded you, if I remember, Bruce, didn't it? It was in there.
Yes.
Yeah, it wasn't something you could configure.
So there's really, it's not telling me a quick answer, but I mean, logically, it would say that it's that you're grounded. I wonder if it'd be interesting to see if it's a hack, wouldn't it? We'll never know either.
You'd probably have to revert to the previous thing where you ring up the airport and get approval to fly within the area. That's what used to happen under the old rules before they introduced LANC, automated that process. So it'd be a fallback. So all the airports would be just completely inundated with calls, and it's a complete disaster.
And John saying LANC like it says in the old. Yeah, it's they call it Lance, LAANC, but Lance isn't spelt like that. It's LANC when you do that. So that's why I say that. You're supposed to say Lance, but I refuse. I refuse. It's LANC, as you say. Yeah, so I wonder where it's. In fact, let's share this one up as well, because this is also interesting in itself. You can tell I'm getting a bit of a cold. These are the approved providers: Airbus, AirMap, Airspace Link, Aloft, ANRA, ATA, Airvision, Bottling, DroneUp, Project Wing. I've heard about them. SkyGrid, Skyward, Thales, and US Sidekick.
But if you look, only the real-time authorization are the ones in green, so aren't they? So that's got to be the system that's down, isn't it?
Yeah.
The real-time authorization.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. Yeah. Well, my only pull up a sandbag story that speaks to this a little bit is when Pontius was a pilot and I was in the Air Force. Did I remove everybody from the screen? No, there's everybody else. Up at the Scottish Air Traffic Control Centre, they computerised the oceanic tracks, all the stuff going out to America, and that ran really late. The computerisation of it, to the point that they'd already assigned. There used to be a big room with people in it and strips of paper and long boards, and they reassigned that room to something else, another canteen or something like that. And the builders had to come in, so there was going to be a period of time where the two systems ran side by side, but that didn't happen. So a week later, when the computerized system fell down, they'd already started demolishing the old the old system, so there was no fallback system for it, and it was absolute chaos. So yeah, I should imagine there'll be lots of bits of this story that have been dismantled in the manned towers in America, because it's been around a couple of years now.
Yeah, it's not new, is it? The system?
No.
Yeah.
Default back to drone zone, says Too Fast and Lightning. What was drone zone? I've forgotten what that was.
Wasn't that a little app that just gave you advisory information? I don't know.
Yeah. It was something like that, wasn't it?
So that would mean it, but that would just mean you couldn't authorize your flight. You couldn't fly in that, because then that would give you all those little height, or you would fly underneath the height on those things, I suppose. Yeah. Well, time will tell. So the Project Wings part of that, they're the people that are going to bring us millions of aircraft in the sky at once. Best to get that working again quick. And I see I had a message in Facebook about it. It looks like it's been down for two days in total so far.
That's a long time.
Yeah. It's quite impressive, isn't it?
Well, aerospace engineering, quality control, that stuff.
Yeah. Well, again, I know down the back, the none of the data links were secure anything 20 years ago.
Maybe their Raspberry Pi broke.
Well, yeah, well, they were transferring the information with all the UK operators onto that Raspberry Pi, because getting ready for the takeover of that system. Thank you very much, Michael. So yeah, that's probably did, and they need to upgrade from the 3B to a 4. That'll solve everything. They'll be fine. Be absolutely fine. Right, I've been talking too much. What else has anyone seen this week? What else?
Operation Forever Wing. Yes, the UK police are ramping. They're getting lots of compliments and support, and the community's backing them all the way on that one, aren't they?
Yes.
I think you're causing trouble, Bruce, and I think you need to stop.
I'm 12,000 miles away. I don't give a damn.
I'm not getting involved in this one, because I don't need a knock on the door.
Well, they're slow-hanging fruit, isn't it? It's easy targets to go and get, and that's what they're doing, isn't it?
Did you see the tweet about what their advisory is, and how the FPV, if you see someone with FPV goggles, they're breaking the law? No, they're not.
Yeah, lots and lots and lots of misinformation. But then you're seeing it in Facebook groups and things when local Karens say, "Oh, we've got a problem," whatever. Then people jump on the group, and then the local community police officer says, "Well, this is this," and generally it's wrong.
Did they actually say that? If I've missed this because I haven't been following it fully on Twitter. I have seen it, but I haven't really spent much time on Twitter the last couple of weeks. So did they actually say if you see someone with FPV goggles, it's illegal? Is that what they posted, Bruce?
Oh,
I just turned my microphone on, and I'll read it out. It says, it says, is the pilot wearing first-person view goggles? If so, they commit an offence. The pilot should be able to see the aircraft with a naked eye at all times.
No, that's wrong. So what did you call them out on that, and what did they say?
David Owens called them out, I think. He said, I worry that your interpretation of CAP 722 is not completely accurate. For example, the advice provided on FPV, and then he quotes that.
And did they reply?
No. They've done a lot of non-replying.
Well, that whole setup is mates of mates who have just left that bit, bringing in their DJI gear at a per hour rate to help their mates sort something out. It's as far as I know, they don't own their own counter UAS equipment, but I stand to be corrected. They're very welcome to come on here and correct me. But yeah,
and of course they said the BBC got it wrong. They used the word dangerous. We didn't use the word dangerous. So I haven't had a response to my tweet to the BBC asking if they're going to retract or reprint that article, because the police said you made a mistake. Surely that's grounds. If I was a publisher, if I was a publisher in the Fourth Estate, if someone points out an error in a story, you immediately correct it. And correct it in a way that it's noted that the story's been corrected. Don't just cover it up by republishing with different words. Correct it. But BBC is just a tabloid. I think the Daily Mail's got more credibility now, hasn't it?
I don't know. I don't really do UK newspapers anymore. Yeah, they're hard to keep up with. But it's almost like a coordinated fear campaign ahead of the sales of equipment. It's one way I would look at it, for instance.
And I think what the UK police have to realise is that they have lost all credibility. After the Gatwick incident, because they said the county UAS people said, we're only going to be picking people, breaking the rules and so forth. I can't believe that, because I look at the Gatwick incident, those people did nothing wrong, and look how they were treated. They need to prove to us that things have changed, and I see no proof.
Mind, who are these? Right, this is the National Police Chiefs Council. See, this isn't the police.
I think it is. I think I've asked that other question of the other Ian, because I was also worried about that was just some people that had stood up with a Twitter handle.
I think it's related to the police, but it's not. It's like the police commissioner type of situation. Do you see what that's the Council of the Chiefs. That's not one organization. It's just a body that's advising or within the police force. Let me just have a look at who they actually are.
Well, there's a video on YouTube. Some guy runs a YouTube channel, and the county UAS people rolled up in police cars and basically said, you've been flying your drone, because they'd been monitoring with Aeroscope, and he'd been flying his drone 20 times or something. And so they rolled up and gave him what for. It's on YouTube. I should find the link and put it up.
That's the bloke on the, not a building site. He's got a vehicle rentals or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, you've seen that video, obviously. Yeah. So they are police. They have police cars anyway.
Well, it's police officers. Yeah.
Well, I thought it was interesting in that one that they said they could see when he switched it on, but he was really close to Heathrow. He was probably within the FRZ, and they probably can see it with Aeroscope when he switches it on in the office.
Did you see our Mark's video where he suggests leaving your drone on while you drive home?
I may or may not know someone that played that game with a transponder going around Heathrow once. I may have heard that happen, but I don't know anything about it. Well, that would definitely confuse the situation. And you'd probably end up in a situation where they'll say, well, it was flight ready, so we're going to prosecute you.
But it was indoors. Be indoors in the vehicle.
Yeah, well, don't be in Australia then. Don't be in Australia. I think they wouldn't like you very much. But yeah, you're right. And I'm sure, well, I know there are Aeroscope hacks out there. I know there are counter Aeroscope stuff out there. So anyone that is serious will just do that.
Yeah, you can get this. I got about 4 flight controllers over there that Aeroscope doesn't even come into. If you really want to do it, just put iNav on something, or Betaflight, or if you really want to go oldie, go OpenPilot. There's copies of it online. Get yourself a CC3D, and well, it won't make it to do whatever you need to do because it'll probably fall out the sky long before it gets there. But
stand by.
Ian, you'll probably know, has DJI encrypted the data stream from the GPS unit to the flight controller now?
What, the actual hardware? No, they've it's not encrypted, and people have injected. There is actually a piece of hardware that some Germans or Russians made that will re-inject different coordinates, or let's just say nudge them.
You apply an offset. So if you do that, you put it on your transmitter where your smartphone applied the offset, and you put it in your drone, you still got return to home, all that stuff. It just that people with Aeroscope think you're flying somewhere completely different.
Yeah.
Gosh, it's almost like you can spoof it like ADSB in exactly the same way.
I don't think any of the manufacturers have really gone out of their way to worry about modification. Do you know what I mean? In the sense of the hardware, you can't turn the GPS off. Most DJI aircraft won't fly without GPS, but that's just the way their system. But it won't fly without most of the hardware attached. So, but nothing I've seen encrypted specifically. So, and there is a company in Germany or someone who was making the nudge chip, as I used to call it. I'm 5 kilometers the other way. Let's round that one off to a naught, shall we?
And that definitely goes down through the OcuSync stream that I've moved myself.
Well, so DJI's
however it gets there.
Yeah. Well, DJI's remote ID stream is just a second set of packets. Now it's encrypted, or as such, it's not heavily encrypted, but it is encrypted. It's not open that you can just receive and decode it, but you can do it with an easy radio, and I can't remember what the piece of software is called. It'll come to me in a minute. You can view it fairly easily. It's not difficult to do.
And it reminds me that Parrot's new sorry, after you, Bruce.
No, I was just going to say, so the police are now going to be so busy trying to dish out these instant fines that they won't be able to stop people stealing catalytic converters from cars anymore.
Yes, something like that. But where I was going was, it reminds me that the new ground control station update from Parrot, it goes with that AirShare, whatever that thing is. It's that. But
yes.
More importantly, it rolls out remote ID. Yeah. So it makes the Parrot Anafi, I think I'm right in saying, I could be wrong, but I think it makes it the first commercial off-the-shelf remote ID able craft now.
Yeah, I don't know of another. DJI still haven't. DJI talked that they could, but they haven't.
But remember, that was DJI standard, not anyone else's standard.
The STM, is this the thing they finally released that and it's all compliant with that, is it?
Is it the French one, though, is compliant with, or is it the European? Because remember, the French one is different.
The European one, but let's pull up that story just to make sure that I'm not as ever making things up. I mean,
because the French
one just blink lights?
Yeah, that was the first idea, wasn't it?
That's the
one. Yes, that's right. With a string of onions around it. I'm going to get careful. I best be a bit careful.
La bibliothèque.
We've all done French.
No one else has. No, there is no off-the-shelf consumer drone that has remote ID that is compliant with any governmental standard at this time. That's probably the right wording to use.
There's a good reason not to buy Parrot.
Well, it's inevitable. Look, at the end of the day, it doesn't really change anything. It's not going to change anything for years. It's not like the police have got the equipment yet. There's no apps out. It still, for me, raises questions.
I've seen that there is an app. There is an app. Yeah. Let's also try and get it up. I saw it last week. I meant to install it. It's Open Remote ID. There is an app that is Open Drone ID. There we are. So there is one already. Hang on, I'll bring it on up.
That would be really interesting to try on this.
Just to see. Well, it'd be interesting to see. That's why I thought I'll install it, and then I remembered, oh no, I'm the only person around here with anything. But nothing obviously that's going to.
It's called Open.
So hang on, I'm going to put it up. Hang on.
All right. I just want to have a look. Is it on Android or iOS?
I don't know. This might be the older one. There was another one, and I think that's the
Intel trial, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the Intel one. There's another version of this. There's another website, but it's basically this. It's Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. So yeah, that will come, because I think even the American standard demands that it is open. Yeah, I can't find the one I was looking for with that. Yeah, I think that the transmission is still an open standard that can be decoded. So it's all coming. It's all arriving rather quickly, and no one's noticing.
No, look, it's been on the cards for a long time. It'd be interesting. See, it's still strange that the gorilla in the room hasn't done anything and still hasn't made a move, even in the European market. We have the latest model, yet there's still no remote ID. Yes, they can retrofit. At the end of the day, all OcuSync models are basically SDRs. That it's for them to change it, it really isn't hard for them to change remote ID, DJI remote ID into open remote ID. It's not particularly difficult for them, but as ever, how far back will they go? Which models will have it? Which models won't? And that will then pose the problem, because you could, if they go back far enough, you could be talking 8 models needing a firmware update. It's quite a big task in itself, isn't it?
Absolutely. I'm trying to find that mod. I can't find it anywhere. I've lost my mojo. I'll put it in the thing. It's a partnership with AirData.
Funny enough, Christopher, I was going to talk about John in a minute. Funny enough, I was going to mention Autel.
Oh, God, then that's why I put him up there.
Yeah, it's Autel seem to be doing some interesting stuff. And yeah, for those who don't know, John McBride has joined Autel, who is Drone Jesus. For those who do know him, he's a very good bloke. He's been around the industry quite a long time, heavily involved in enterprise. A couple of people have said he was linked to DJI. It wasn't linked to DJI. He did a lot with a major DJI dealer. That was what, they were one of the biggest enterprise dealers in the US. Yes, they did a lot with DJI in the sense of you would expect a Volkswagen car dealer to do a lot with Volkswagen. But he's joined them as head of training. It's a real smart move. A seriously smart move if they want to get into search and rescue and that kind of area in the US. And it makes you wonder who's next.
Well, who else? Who's left? There's not many more people left.
There's a lot of people. Okay, I suppose, Romeo's gone to the company we shall not mention.
Sorry, I didn't mention it. I didn't say it.
We should not name. No. Arterion, yeah, you got Romeo Arterion. DJI's offspring is not probably the right term to use, but DJI's leftovers are
spawn of DJI.
Spawn of DJI. Yeah, there's a lot of very knowledgeable people who've been involved in big drone business moving out, and I'm really intrigued with what Autel are up to, because they're facing a massive backlash right now from their own community. Their forums and their Facebook pages are frankly a mess, and it's been the most toxic I've seen a Facebook group for quite a long time. And
really?
This is all over their remote controller changes with the smart controller and all of that, and everyone's getting awfully upset about it. Which I can understand. The Evo 2 has only been out a year, and now they're saying there's a new radio system coming. But that's just reality. That's, Autel haven't quite always had that game, but in DJI world, that's the norm. We've been used to this for periods of time, and I understand people are upset that they're going to buy £1,000 remote controller. That isn't going to be, if they buy it for their current model, it isn't going to be compatible with future ones. However, don't buy it if that's the case. If that's a problem for you, just don't buy it. And if you really want it, then sell your Evo and buy the Evo 2 version 2. That will be compatible. And I know whilst that's not ideal, that is the situation we're in. And people are calling BS on the global supply shortage. And look, that is very real.
Yeah, very difficult. Very difficult to... here we are. Christopher saying Randall did promise his company to make it right fit for the customers. Yeah, and he's saying that he's going to get them on the blue SUS list as well.
He's taken a lot of hassle already over this remote thing, and look, they've got to do what they. Is it, and could they make it compatible? Probably somehow they could double chipset it. The remote, they could actually then go, if they've got to use 2 different sets of hardware, but the reason they're changing is they can't get enough chipsets. So what they're actually saying is, if you have a version 1, we're going to make the remote for those who've ordered it already with the old chipset. We're going to commit to you guys, but you are buying a product that is basically only going to be any good for that drone. But that stands for Syndence on the Inspire 2. that stands for almost the smart control. The smart controller's actually had a bit of support, more than I ever imagined, actually. But it's nothing unusual. So, if it's a big problem, don't buy it. Or sell your Autel and buy the version 2. I'm not saying that's ideal, but nothing is ideal at the moment.
Yeah, well, they're definitely pushing. And just to jump back to the Parrot thing, yeah, it is direct remote identification.
Yeah,
it is the European standard, and as they handily tell us here, the DRI message is transmitted in real time throughout the duration of the flight and through an open and documented transmission protocol. So, yeah, you'll be able to see that on an app soon.
But here's something interesting. Is the aircraft transmitting or the phone? Because there isn't a firmware update here, is there? This is an app update. Or is this a firmware?
No, I think it's both. I think it's both.
Is it both?
It's the app and yeah, I think it goes through to both. I don't.
And what models is this on, Gary?
The ANAF. Well,
ANAFI users. ANAFI. So
ANAFI, I think just the ANAFI. NAFI USA. Oh, here we are. NAFI, those ones. Yeah. Those ones. First one to have it, though. So fair play to them. Getting out ahead of the rest. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to happen. It is interesting that they are the first.
There we are. Look, Christopher said that they can trade in. That's Autel.
Yeah.
Well, it's an offer you can't beat, really, isn't it? If you're that unhappy and if he's
yeah,
I'm not saying that's fair enough.
But at the end of the day, these things happen. There's a lot of stuff that isn't perfect right now, and I do think the drone industry has been a little bit shielded, and there's a lot of pain to come. I know of 2 manufacturers who are changing their autopilots right now, or the designs of their autopilots, because of the chip shortage. Yeah. There's a lot going on in the background that consumers don't quite see quite yet, because there's a lot of stuff in supply chain right now. And when
I'll be all right with my copter control. Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be okay.
The F-103, I think, is almost impossible to get. Which is used on a number. It's used on the original Pixhawk. As part of that, the F-103 is almost impossible to get. So there's a lot of stuff's going to get changes very soon, and you're going to start to see supply run out when the current batches.
Didn't I see someone's going double H7s or something?
Yep.
In order to get around problems.
Yep.
Here we are. Let's have a look. Hexa one-person flying cars. I can't wait for a one-person flying car.
Did I see Airspeeder in the news this week?
Oh, yeah. Oh, did I forget to post that?
Fantastic, isn't it? It's fantastic. People are raving over it. I can't wait.
But what the amount of, she gets in, and what I love is she gets in, and then there's the sound of a turbine helicopter starting up. Oh, how's that work then?
You do know this is drones. There's no reality in the world of drones, just like that Australian backpack thing.
All the virtual reality and augmented reality stuff, all the dials, all the whiz. Really, how it would be? You'd be holding on to the seat going, ah!
You know what this reminds me of? Do you remember the Rocket Racing League that they proposed a decade or so ago? It's exactly the same proposal, but using quadcopters instead of rockets.
How have they not been buried after the incident?
I don't know. I don't know what institutional changes you've got to make.
Incompetence.
No, but they've got people from Rolls-Royce and McLaren and Boeing and all sorts involved, so it can't be bad.
Yeah. Well, you just keep, keep failing upward, don't you? Or too big to fail, and all those other things. And the copter pack, does it blend? Well, yeah. Did anyone believe that? Did they? I mean,
you look in the comments, a lot of people do believe it. You look in the comments on the video, the original video, a lot of people, no, fair dinks, it's true, yeah.
But just look at the way the motors move and everything goes. It's like, wow, there's some alien technology in that. Look how fluid and smooth and lovely, and look at that.
And perhaps the most important thing was, remember the guys that had a camping chair under a drone over a lake?
Yeah.
And Kazza ripped them a new one?
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't see Kazza not ripping these guys a new one if it was really a flight, and I'm sure they've looked into it.
Yeah.
And I just checked on the Kazza website about the drone registrations. It says registering your drone. Some drones don't need to be registered. This applies if you are only flying for sport or recreation.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
That's good.
So yeah, and if you're a Australian model flying fraternity, if you fly at one of their airfields, you don't need to register either.
Let me have a look. Michael sent me. Australian government announced. How do I'm from flying for business, or let me copy and paste this into something so I don't have to put all his details in this. Let's.
You were on about that comment, Bruce. I can't see the one about FPV now. Have they taken that down?
If you go to, this is the police.
Yeah.
County UAS. If you go to their Twitter feed, you'll see it's still there.
Is it? I'm just looking down because I can see the reply, but I can't see the original comment, which is interesting.
Because I just left my daily reply on it this morning, asking them for the information.
Let me add this one again then. Let's see what Michael sent us, because it is probably, I'm sure, far more up to date. This is what was said from first to the Australian government. For drones or remotely piloted aircraft, business or part of your job, I say, so it's commercial then. Okay, so that's your hobby ones out of the way. 12 months. There we are. Yeah, okay. So $40 for all the... Oh, I shouldn't have done that. Whoever that company was. Sorry. Yeah. For $40 an aircraft then for commercially flying.
Can you imagine if Intel wanted to do a flying light show in Australia? How much would it cost them now?
Yes. Yeah, and the hoverboard, Christopher there with his interview with the hoverboard inventor. Yes. Yeah. There's lots of nonsense. But that thing flying in Australia with race series coming is just absurd. And to suggest that and of course, because if that young lady did have any directional control over the thing while it's racing, as it rather suggests, then that should make her a licensed pilot of some sort. And qualified, and that would mean that whole system would need to be approved. Did we see that Volocopter flew at Paris yesterday, the demonstration of their air taxi, and that actually went 500 meters radio controlled, flipping great big thing at 30 meters, 500 meters radio controlled.
That's the regulations, isn't it? You can't exceed 500 feet? I don't know what it is. Maximum distance, line of sight.
Yeah, I think it probably is 500 meters. Yeah. You build them your commercial, so what do I have to pay for shit for the drones? Yeah, I know, Michael. I know. It's madness. And at what point do they become built? Is they built when the autopilot comes through the door? Are they built when they go to the customer?
It did say you don't have to register if you don't intend to fly them. So if you're building them for someone else, you wouldn't have to, would you?
Oh, fair enough. Still a lot of money. Still an awful lot of money. So
the big question is that it's a lot of money, but what is the return on that investment? What are people getting for that? And what is it saving lives? Is it saving property? It's doing none of those things. It's a cash grab. Yeah.
Manned aviation's got to come to the party now, isn't it? Or start getting some of this pain. they have to have pain, which I think they will. I honestly think they'll be, oh, look, we got away with that lot. Right, let's nudge it up into general aviation a bit. See what we can get away with there now. See what extra bits of money we can pull out of them. I really think it will happen that way. Yeah. So, what else have we seen this week, gentlemen?
Did you see the thing in, was it Scotland or the UK, where some woman was outraged because there was a drone flying up down the street and her daughter came and screaming and in tears because she was afraid of the drone? It's the hysteria the media has created is now a self-feeding thing. People are afraid of drones because the media has told them to be afraid of drones. So then they publish media reports saying people are afraid of drones. It's ridiculous. What on earth, if there hadn't been this media coverage, that kid would have just said, oh, look, a drone. But it's just, I don't know. I just get so upset when I see the misinformation. BBC leading the pack.
Of course, I know what it was this week. It was Ian's 20,000th subscriber live stream. So well done, Ian.
Yeah, well, it happened this week, which was okay. It's fantastic. Yeah, the channel's been growing nicely over the last. As much as I keep doing this very badly, it still seems to thing. I haven't set anything on fire for a while. My bits are finally arrived with DJI.
You want to talk to Nicola? He'll give you some tips.
Yeah, he's the burning backpack. The burning back.
Backpack man.
No, there was none of that.
We're going to be disappointed, Nicola. You're going to have to set a backpack on fire now, right?
Just some melted cables. Well, you're going to have to set a backpack on fire because you made that shit up.
Yeah, but I will.
Gary.
Me? Me?
Yeah.
I've got enough 1850s around.
Don't get too disappointed, Ian, because I saw a little banner on the top of my YouTube studio saying you may experience a loss of subscribers in the near future as we cull out all the spam subscribers. So you might drop back down. You never know.
Was that today, Bruce? Was that today?
It was the other day. They've probably done it already. Yeah.
No, it hasn't gone down yet. But as you say, I'll be down to 1.5 subscribers by the end of the week.
I know. Do you know how long it took me to make 19,000 individual YouTube accounts so I could subscribe them to you?
Bruce has full control over my channel. At any one time, it can go from 1 subscriber to 20k.
And you can change the ad mix as well. He can influence the ads. It'll all be for his beauty channel. Or for his OnlyFans or whatever it is. Bruce's bits. Yeah.
We've had Bruce's bits. Oh, that's a thought. Yeah, I've had the bits today for the other regulator. I'm not convinced I'm going to survive this air unit. I tried voltage injection and it all gets nice and warm, but it didn't fire up. But we'll change the regulator and we'll see if I can recover this one. It's cost me virtually the same amount of money now as buying a replacement. So it's like all of these things.
I've really enjoyed. I mean, it's very frequently when you see the smoke videos, it's because it's happened and people are going, "Ooh," and it's happened. But you had it in such a nice fine detail. You know, we had it all lined up and we were
expecting it.
Yeah,
well, I wasn't. But my head.
If
you watch the video, you'll just see my head come forward to go. Oh, for fuck's sake.
I do believe I heard something like that.
Yeah, it was, and that was she smoked. I still don't know what caused it really, and that's the more disturbing thing. I don't mind breaking things when I genuinely break them, but I still, because the regulators on that are really rated to close to 30 volt. It would have had to have hellish spiked to take it out.
I don't watch his videos. It only encourages them.
No.
Yeah. Yes, that's true. Yeah,
it only makes him do more. So, but yes, no, I massively appreciated it to you all because I wouldn't be here without you.
Yes, I remember that interview.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Well, on FBCLID, it was great, that one.
It wasn't quite as good as the F2DZ 56 so.
Well, Christopher, maybe just because unfortunately, I can't click those links from here to quickly go off and have a look at
copy and paste. I'm
going to have to copy and paste it. Yeah,
you might be able to. I can't. It won't let me because I can display it. You should tell us. Bring up old stuff.
The Autel CEO talking.
Oh, okay.
On the 17th of June about strategy. Did you say it's an old one? It's 3 days old.
Yeah, it is old. Yeah,
it's very old if you're holding your breath.
Yeah, it's Autel interesting. Look, there is a world for someone to take. The Blue UAS guys can't do it because they can't really produce a product, most of them. And the ones that are producing a product you cannot get, or they don't really want to sell it to you unless you've got very, very big briefcases of money. Talking £25,000 toilet seat briefcases of money. So Autel, there is a market to be had. And frankly, DJI threw it away by not doing US manufacturing and taking on board the US needs. Now, Autel is Chinese. Let's not get away from that. Whatever you do, it is a Chinese company at the back end. But all they've got to do is not let their pride get in the way and do whatever the US wants them to do.
Yeah, no, true.
That's what hurt DJI in the end, in my opinion. Pride.
Any Chinese company can do that. And well, we shall see. Of course, Parrot's bringing their new machine out. You say the blue lot can't do stuff on the 30th, but that might be a more or a better commercial unit for Part 107. 3DR to the rescue. Well, Chris works for who's he work for now? Not Wing, the other lot. Because they've bought out 3DR. What always makes me chuckle about that, they keep going on about the great American manufacturer 3DR. It was never an American manufacturer. They're made in Mexico.
Gringo.
It was never great. It was never. Look, they released one product half baked.
No, more than that.
No, there was the Iris and the other
one consumer drone.
Okay.
The Solo and the Iris.
Drone. Well,
the Iris.
That was it. It wasn't. It's an F450.
Yeah.
It's not, if we look, the Solo was a great bit of kit, but you can't release a product. And this is the mistake Sony are making yet again.
Yeah,
without the fundamental bit you need to do what it needs to do, the gimbal.
Just use Velcro.
Just use Velcro. Yeah.
No, they supplied a hard mount, and and this was, I still never forget the Solo. They released it with the hard mount, and every footage was this, the camera doing this. So you had the Phantom 3, where you had all this lovely stabilized footage, and you had the Solo with it.
If only they'd waited for hypersmooth on the GoPro, that'd have been sweet.
And then GoPro stuck it to them.
Funny you should mention Colin, Christopher. But that's all I'll say. Funny you should mention Colin. He's come up in conversations a couple of times in this last week. He's still it's like a promotions company is his main thing, which was always his gig anyway. But he has been mentioned in dispatches in the last week a couple of times. I don't think I'm allowed to say any more than that. He was Mr. DJI, wasn't he? He was the flag waver that got DJI running away, and then was snatched away by 3DR to stop him doing that, and that didn't work. No,
in many ways, the Solo was too. There were some great people there. Philip was one of them, and it was, but I think they were the first company to really fall foul of the great gorilla. Get this wrong, and they will. I'm talking about DJI played all sorts of games. They reduced prices. They sold the Phantom 3, but that's business. At the end of the day, what 3DR needed to do was capitalize on their strengths, and they couldn't because the gimbal wasn't ready, and then GoPro stuffed them with the whole communications.
And those monkeys didn't come cheap.
And the monkeys didn't.
They didn't come cheap. That was the thing. That did for them, really. The monkeys. It was the monkeys. And
I suppose this is the problem for everyone else now. Where is the future in consumer camera drones? Because right now, DJI is making everything as cheap as they can. The Mavic Mini 2, there's another Mavic Mini allegedly coming, this SE. We're not talking, there's no $1,000 drones being released here. Everything is sub that. And how do the others? A Parrot have left the consumer drone industry. The Anafi is basically gone from a consumer point of view now. Autel.
Well, they're moving up in price and stuff as well, aren't they? I mean, I don't know what they.
Well, Skydio has. If you look at the price of the Skydio's increased dramatically in price.
Yeah, well, that's been blamed on the shortage, isn't it? Yeah, no, we're coming into a brave new world that requires remote ID and overreaching by the government. It's all getting quite disappointing on the amount of money you can make as a return. I actually recommended a Skydio to somebody the other day. He said he wants to do inspections and all that in South Africa. How much money is he going to make? And this and that and the other, asking questions everywhere. It's like, you're going to make bugger all, mate. Even with the very expensive DIU mill work. Is that the new? Yeah, that's the round 2, is it, Christopher? Again, I can't click on that. And Michael's saying all consumers needs a cheap HD cam in the air, and it's light enough, no rakes. Yeah, exactly.
And that's what the Mini 2 is doing, and that's what you know.
Yeah. Have we managed to get Nicola asleep? We gotta talk quiet. No, we haven't. I thought we had to talk quietly then.
You wish.
Well, although yes,
the first time I fall asleep during the live cast.
No, me as well. Most
Such
of the
is
time,
the quality
actually.
of the conversation. Yes,
Exactly. Yeah. It's you don't need to buy a sleep app with us. You just keep on listening, even if it's in the middle of the day, wherever you are in the world, or early morning
the
in
stream
Australia.
is a favourite amongst insomniacs.
You should have sheep going.
For those who are listening in the morning, now they have to go back to bed.
Just need to get close to the mic and do some ASMR, Ian.
What nurse?
I was thinking of doing a wind-up one because did you see Linus did a build? Did you see it? He did a full ASMR. I can never remember which way. He's done a full PC build of it because a lot of people were saying they should do one, and he did one last week.
What is this that you are talking about? I don't know what this is.
You don't know what is it? ASMR, isn't it?
I just call it ASMR. Yeah, it's just that very soothing, quiet sounds and like whispering and water running and things that put you to sleep. You know, like Ian's videos.
No, they're action packed, waiting for the smoke.
It's usually stuff like, Gary, today we're going to build a drone.
Demonetized.
Lead factor 100.
And then the day that it's going, the fan spins.
I noticed Nicola's even shut down his Pornhub app now, and in response to all this.
I see. Very good, Ian. It's like, it's what you're made to do. I mean, why on earth are you wasting time on this?
Plug the Friends and Fans channel now, Ian. You've already got it started. Just, tell them where to go.
The ASMR content, the viewing numbers on some of that stuff is incredible.
Really?
Oh,
I don't live in this world.
It's because people go to it, click on it, and then fall asleep, and it plays for 12 hours.
I see.
Yeah, it's meant to be when you because basically it started off as the people who get chills. That's what when you get that feeling down the back of your neck.
Are they multiplying? Are you losing control? Have you moved in some direction?
It is. There are people making full-time money on YouTube and they sit there with packets going. Just doing stuff like that and rubbing boxes and cardboard and it's weird.
Rubbing one out.
No, that's
quality content.
That's
the women that do it. Trust me, that's everyone watching doing that.
That's Bruce's Bits channel. Anyway, let's see, Christopher with the Vito under 10K and the DIU. Yeah, again, I've heard some things that are quite surprising about the DIU in the last couple of weeks as well. They do want the specs for hardly any money. You're absolutely right.
It's funny, isn't it, how none of the big manufacturers have really taken wings seriously still. Autel have that wing. How much is that thing? That can't be.
It's 130,000 US dollars.
Is it 130,000? Yeah.
Yeah. Enough said. Enough said, really.
That one over.
There we are then. No need to go on any bit more about that.
So tell me again, why aren't they popular?
I don't know. I have no idea why they're not popular. Yeah, well, that's a really good example.
There's SenseFly, which is part of Pix4D. Parrot. Is it Parrot? Are they all part of this?
Yeah, Parrot. Yeah.
But that's just wing. That's bits of foam.
Yeah. It was $2, $3. I bet that whole thing is not more than $50.
Yeah. Good markup in that.
Put the sensor in it. Next to nothing. I see. Yeah, but I saw a company proudly showing the 20 new ones that they've bought of that, and I look at them. I'm afraid I look at it. I think, well, that's one believer can do the job of all those 20 in one flight, because they really, they can't do much.
Nicholas can go and go and go.
Yeah,
they just can come back.
Yeah, one way only. Yeah, no need. Almost.
What radio system are you using these days, Nicola, on yours? What are you using now?
Well, to run this, as always, first generation X9D, no pluses in the name. And usually I attach to that either the Dragon Link or the FR Sky R9 system.
And Josh,
I rarely use the 2.4 gigahertz now, because pretty much all my planes are long range. I think I use some of the 2.4 gigahertz receivers on those scale models that are flown line of sight, but that's about it. Everything long range is either R9 or Dragon Link.
I haven't used Dragon Link for a long time. I was waiting for Bruce to finish his videos, but I don't know. Did you ever finish your videos on Dragon Link, Bruce?
I did.
The Dragon Link units I got were not particularly high quality, glued together, and at that stage in their development, I wouldn't have recommended them to anybody.
Yeah.
Well, 433 is sort of dropped by the wayside because it's a very, very narrow band, and everyone's going to 900 now because there's a bit more gap there, and antennas are a bit more manageable.
Yeah.
Dragon Link do have a 915 megahertz system now, and I do have it, actually. Even though that frequency is not really allowed around here, 868 is, and the R9 I have it set up to 868, and it's working pretty sweet. The Dragon Link is having some issues with range, and I think it might be because of the fact that it's working on 900 megahertz, and that's actually used here by the mobile networks.
Yeah, same here. What about DJI for long range as FX node?
It's not long range.
I think it's quite interesting that all the Internet of Things devices, startup companies, are busy failing everywhere. So the band that was going to get very, very busy might get a little quieter again as they all start receding into the sunset. Our big one here just failed.
They're probably all being recruited for mining Bitcoin now, haven't they, with all the vulnerabilities in the IoT subsystem?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they were taking a chunk of bandwidth. No, not a chunk of bandwidth, but they made a lot of noise.
Very low power levels. A bit like 5G, isn't it? Very low power levels.
The DJI has a physical limit of 10K. You just can't. Nothing you'll do. You get to the stage where it can't communicate anymore. There's a packet. It's a complicated thing, but it's to do with the way packets come back and forth and the retries, and there's a physical distance limit of that, but there's nothing.
10K for Nicola is just around the neighbourhood.
That's just literally.
It's not even left apart.
Yeah.
He's still trying to turn the radio on at 10K and get everything in place.
It's still line of sight for him.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like I've said before, pretty good eyes.
Very good. No, we are definitely beginning to talk nonsense. So, any more for any more? Have we seen anything else this week, gentlemen?
No, it's been a quiet week, really.
Going to Tasman. It has. Going twice. That's it. Thank you very much, chaps. Thanks for joining us. Dear viewer, wherever you are in the world, thank you for joining us. Be safe out there, and we'll see you again, 2100 GMT.
Oh, I remember something.
Oh, go on then.
Don't forget to go and look at my 65-gram FPV P51 Mustang on RC Model Reviews.
Oh, yes. Yes.
It's so much fun, that thing. It's brilliant. Glad I did it.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Yes, have a look at Bruce's 65-gram FPV. And on that note, cheerio. See you next week. Bye-bye for now. Cheers.
See ya.